Welcome to another quarantine kitchen video. Today I'll be working on what I'm calling a kitchen covered cassoulet. Calling this a cassoulet is a slight stretch of the imagination, as the real thing would take many days and many ingredients you might not have during isolation. In this video I will be using a brined half chicken and some chicken stock from my previous videos. I will also be using canned cannellini beans, canned diced tomatoes, some cheap red wine, sliced shiitake mushrooms, garlic, chard, and mirepoix. I'll start by getting all my knife work done. I'll give my mirepoix a medium dice. Mirepoix is onions, celery, and carrots in a 2:1:1 ratio, onions, celery to carrots. Next, I'll slice my garlic. I'm using about 6 or 7 cloves of garlic here. Next, I'll slice all my shiitake mushrooms, and then I'll put all of this aside so it's ready for cooking later. Now that we're ready to cook, I'll start by preheating my oven to 375 degrees. Then, I'll season both sides of the chicken with some salt and pepper. In the meantime, I'm going to preheat my pan on medium to high heat. Once my chicken is seasoned on both sides, I'm going to add a little bit of oil to the pan. Here, I'm using a vegetable or canola oil, which has little to no flavor. After that, I'll add my chicken to the pan, skin side down. This is important so that you can get a nice crispy skin. From here, we're working just to get it nice and brown. Once we've gotten good color on our skin, we'll flip it over and begin to cook the backside a little bit. We don't need to cook any part of the chicken through right now, as we'll be putting it in the oven later. So I remove the chicken and then bring over my mirepoix and add it to the pan. From here, we'll just season and sweat the veggies. When you're doing one-pot meals like this, it's really good to build flavor along the way. It's been about 5 minutes and my vegetables are cooked down and a little bit translucent. Now I'm going to add my garlic. This is a great time to add any other spices you might want to add as well. I'm adding garlic and spices now because I don't want them to burn, just get a little bit toasted. As soon as we've toasted these up a little bit, making sure again not to burn the garlic, we're going to add a little bit of our red wine. Here I'm adding about a cup. I just want to cook this wine down and help pull some of the flavors off the bottom of the pan and really into the vegetables. Now that we've cooked all our red wine out and our pan is pretty much dry, we're going to add our cannellini beans and our can of diced tomatoes. For this recipe, I'm only going to use half a can of diced tomatoes, being as in quarantine times, they're a little scarce, and they go a long way. Once I've added these and really mixed them around, I'm going to bring my chicken back over so that I can get ready to put all of this in the oven. Once I've put my chicken in, I really want to push it deep into the vegetables so that it doesn't sit too high above them. Then, I'm going to add some of the chicken stock that we made yesterday and bring it just to the bottom of the skin. I don't want to cover the skin. Once you've brought this back up to a boil, put it into your 375 degree oven for about an hour. Next, I'll be cooking my mushrooms and chard. I'll start by putting my mushrooms into a hot, dry pan, and then seasoning with salt and pepper. As soon as I season with salt and pepper, I'll be adding the oil. I do this so that some of the moisture in the mushrooms comes out before we add the oil. Then, I will just saute them a little until they're nice and brown. Once our mushrooms are browned, I'm going to remove them from the pan and place the pan back on the heating. Then, I'll add the chard and cook it in the same way that I just did the mushrooms. Again, seasoning with salt and pepper and adding the oil afterwards. I'm cooking both the mushrooms and the chard separate because I don't want them to lose all their texture and become mush cooking with the rest of the cassoulet. These will just be added in at the very end with the rest of the ingredients. Our chicken has now been cooking about an hour in a 375-degree oven. I'm going to remove it from the oven and then remove the chicken from the pan. This way, I can taste for seasoning and add my mushrooms and chard. When I tasted mine, I actually had enough salt, but I needed a little bit of acid, so I seasoned with a little bit of lemon. Once you've seasoned, add your mushrooms and your chard and give it a good stir to incorporate. We used chard and mushrooms in our cassoulet, but you can use any vegetables that you have on hand. These just happen to be in our fridge. Once you're done, add the chicken back to the cassoulet and serve. Good for 2 to 3 people on a cold winter's night.